Okay, so I'm 28 and this is a total mess. Still unfolding, actually, which is why I gotta get this out. It's a bit raw, you know? A few months back, I had a wreck. Nothing serious, but my leg and back still bother me. It wasn't like life-threatening or anything, but it totally messed up my routine. I couldn't walk much without hurting, and a bunch of things I used to do without thinking I couldn't do anymore. The worst part. I couldn't work for a bit, so I was stuck at home just trying to get better. My girlfriend, Claire, we'd been together about 2 years, was a lifesaver, mostly. She's usually super sweet and helpful, but, well, you'll see. Anyway, one night I was trying to make a simple salad. Seriously, nothing fancy, just chopping veggies. I had a plate sitting there and then bam, my leg gave way. I didn't fall down, but I had to grab the counter to steady myself. And in doing that, I knocked the plate right off. Smash! It shattered all over the floor, and I just stood there, staring at all the broken pieces. Then Claire showed up. She was glued to her phone, not paying attention, but when she finally looked up and saw the mess, she just made this face. Seriously. "You're such a mess," she said, shaking her head like she couldn't believe it. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, feeling my blood start to boil. I've always had a quick temper, but I hate fighting, especially over dumb stuff. So I just kept my mouth shut and started picking up the broken plate. She stood there with her arms crossed, watching me for a second before turning and walking away. "It's just a plate," she mumbled. "But seriously, you gotta be more careful. You're always doing this." It wasn't the first time Claire had said something that hurt, but this time it felt different. I was already feeling down because my body wasn't working right, and hearing her call me pathetic just felt like the last thing I could handle. I kept cleaning, but I was fuming on the inside. That night, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, and I thought maybe she just didn't mean it. But over the next few days, it kept getting worse. It wasn't just the plate. It was everything. When I needed help getting something down from a high shelf, she'd roll her eyes. If I asked her to help with something simple around the house, she'd sigh and huff like I was a burden. I could tell she was getting more and more irritated with me. I swear at first I thought I was just making it up in my head, but then the little remarks started coming more often. Just these digs, you know? Like when I said I was bored being stuck at home, she goes, "Must be nice doing nothing all day." And when I was feeling a little better and asked about maybe going to the beach for the weekend, her response was basically, "Yeah, right, like you're even able to walk around a beach." I tried to ignore it. Seriously, I did. I figured maybe I was just being too sensitive, but it kept happening. It just kept building up. Then one day I was just doing laundry, something simple, and I dropped the basket. No big deal, I picked it right back up. But she saw and she just laughed. "Maybe if you weren't sitting around all the time, you could actually manage this without dropping stuff," she said. That's when it really hit me. It wasn't just the little accidents or the lack of understanding. It was her whole attitude toward me. It felt like she saw me as this huge burden, like I was useless and couldn't do anything right. I really wanted to talk to her. I wanted to tell her how much her words hurt and how it felt like she was becoming a different person. But I choked. I just kept quiet, tried to go with the flow, and pretended everything was normal. But then things changed in a way I couldn't pretend wasn't happening. We were just sitting on the couch watching TV one night, and she just blurts out how much easier things would be if she didn't have to look after me all the time. "I do everything around here," she told me, and honestly, I was worn out. "You should be helping more, but you just expect me to take care of it all." Something in me just broke. I didn't say anything right then, but I could feel the anger rising. I didn't know if I was more mad at myself for not being able to do more, or at her for maybe not being who I thought she was. Things really went downhill the next day. She had some friends over, and while I was trying to help get dinner ready, I dropped another plate, one of her nice ones. She gave me this look of pure disgust and mumbled, "You seriously can't do anything right, can you?" Everyone just froze. Her friends were all there, awkwardly looking back and forth between us. I felt like I was the punchline to some cruel joke. I just walked out, this awful mix of humiliation and rage churning inside me. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending things were normal. I think that's when I started figuring things out. Not about us, but about what I was going to do. The next few days were brutal. You could feel the tension between us, like this invisible wall was closing in. I tried to act like everything was fine, but Claire's little digs kept coming. It felt like every single time I needed a hand with something, even something tiny like grabbing a mug, she acted like I was asking for her kidney or something. And when I tried to tell her how much her words stung, she'd just roll her eyes or blow me off with stuff like, "You're so dramatic," or "It's really not that big of a deal." At first, I figured she was just stressed, or maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was just being too sensitive. But as time went on, I started to see it. This wasn't just a temporary thing. It was a pattern, a really bad one. And the worst part? Claire wasn't just dismissing me privately. She did it in front of everyone, her friends, her family, even complete strangers. It was like she needed to prove something to show the world how lame I was. Like putting me down somehow made her look better. This was especially obvious whenever we were with her friends. She'd make these little digs at me, and they'd all laugh like it was the funniest thing ever. But it wasn't funny to me. It was humiliating. I remember this one night she had some friends over to our place. My leg was still bothering me, so I was moving a little slow. I asked her for help setting the table, and she just waved me off without even looking at me. "You'll be fine," she said, like I was making up excuses. Then she added, "Maybe if you didn't drop everything, you'd actually be useful." My cheeks burned when my friend giggled. But the real kicker wasn't just her behavior. It was that she acted like she didn't give a crap about how I felt. She didn't say sorry or even hint that she was hurting me. It felt like she was getting a kick out of it, like she got some sick pleasure from making me look like a total idiot in front of other people. This went on for a few weeks, and during that time I started distancing myself. I stopped helping out around the house as much. I stopped starting conversations, and honestly, I stopped caring so much. Every time I did, I just felt invisible, like I didn't mean anything to her. One night after a really nasty fight, I was done. Claire got mad because I was moving slow again, and instead of being understanding, she yelled at me in front of her friends. "I just don't get it," she said. "You're so pathetic. I have to do everything, and all you do is sit around feeling sorry for yourself." That was it. I couldn't handle it anymore. I'd been giving her the benefit of the doubt for ages, telling myself things would get better, but they weren't. They were getting worse. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, trying not to cry from the frustration. But when I finally spoke, I was surprisingly calm. "You know," I said slowly, "I've been thinking a lot about what you've been saying, and I'm done. I'm finished. I'm not putting up with this anymore. You can't just treat me like I'm garbage. I'm not here to be your emotional punching dummy, and I refuse to sit here and let you constantly chip away at me." Her face changed, but it wasn't like she felt bad. Nope, it was more like she was pissed off that I was finally standing up for myself. "Oh, so now you're the victim?" she snapped, her tone dripping with acid. "How original." And that's when it clicked. This wasn't just about me being a pushover. It was about her wanting to be in control. She needed to feel like she was better than me, that she was the one calling the shots, and she wasn't going to let me take that away from her. If making me feel like I was nothing was how she got her kicks, then fine. But I was done with it. Over the next few days, I started seriously considering my choices. Claire wasn't just being mean, she was playing me. She was using my struggles as a way to knock me down, to make me feel like I couldn't handle things on my own. And the more I thought about it, the more I understood that this wasn't just a few little jabs now and then. This was a pattern of behavior that had been getting worse, and I had let it go on way too long. I started creating some distance, pulling back emotionally. And I think she noticed because the more I pulled back, the angrier she became. She eventually cornered me about it, wanting to know why I was acting so distant. "What's wrong with you?" she asked, actually looking confused. Seriously, what was her deal? I was so confused. I kept my mouth shut at first, but it was obvious she was getting really worked up. I didn't feel like explaining myself, it never went anywhere anyway. But a little part of me wanted to let her know things were changing. This treatment wasn't going to fly anymore, not with me. Then a couple of days later, boom, a text. "We need to talk," it said, short and sweet. I knew exactly what that meant. She could feel things falling apart and was trying to get me back. I didn't text back right away. Nope, I made a plan. I wasn't falling for her games again. This time I was calling the shots. That's when things got really messy. I think that's when Claire finally got it I wasn't going to back down. And that's when she really showed her true self in ways I never imagined. It wasn't just her snide remarks anymore. She started trash-talking me to her friends, making me out to be the bad guy in all of this. She told them I was too sensitive, too dramatic, always looking for a fight. She even went to some of her family and said I wasn't the same person, that I'd become weak and lazy. And because she's so good at manipulating people, they actually started believing her. That's when I saw it. Claire wasn't just playing the victim, she was a master at it. She was totally setting me up for something massive, something that in her mind was going to make her the good guy and me the jerk. But I wasn't going to let her do that. I had to decide what I was going to do, and I knew I couldn't just sit around and watch what happened. I just needed a little more time to get my act together. The days after Claire's text message felt super tense, like a thick fog you couldn't see through. I could feel the sting of her little digs and the chill in the house, a house that used to feel like home. Every time I walked in, the silence was just awful. But this time, I wasn't just going to let it go. I was done with her always making me the villain, twisting things to fit her story. I had to do something, and I had to do it on my terms, so I started planning. I wouldn't keep taking her crap anymore. I was going to show Claire just how far I could push back. But I knew my revenge would be quiet, something I really thought about. It wasn't going to be yelling or crazy fights. It was going to be about being in charge, taking back what she'd just taken so easily. I began with small things just to see what would happen. I stopped answering her messages right away. When she needed something from me, I took my sweet time. At first, I could tell it was getting to her, and I could see her start to lose it. She'd ask, "Are you serious? You're not going to help me." "Look, I'm still working through something," I'd tell people. "I'll explain later." And then I wouldn't. I'd let the quiet hang there, enjoying how awkward it made everyone. But the real shift happened when I figured out I couldn't just sit around and hope things got better on their own. I had to nudge things along carefully. So I started poking around, looking into things she hadn't been telling me. Little things, but things that would show her true colors. One night I found a receipt for a shopping trip she took a week earlier. Clothes I'd never seen. She got a whole new set of clothes, which she definitely hadn't mentioned to me. I didn't make a big deal about it then. Instead, I quietly took the receipt, stuck it in my pocket, and waited. A couple of days later, I brought it up at dinner when we were talking about money and how much I'd been spending to get better. "Oh, by the way," I said like it was nothing, "I found this receipt for a shopping spree you went on last week." I didn't think we could really afford anything extra right then. Her face just went white. She tried to laugh it off right away, but I could see how uncomfortable she was getting. "It's just a few things," she said. "No big deal." I stayed calm, but inside I was loving the tension I'd created. "I don't think you get it," I said. "I'm here, can't work, can't do what I used to do, and I'm barely keeping it together." So there I was, watching her blow money on stuff we didn't even need. She practically jumped in her seat, totally caught off guard. I just wanted to feel good about myself. "Okay," she said, all defensive. "I didn't think you'd be so upset about it." "I'm not making a huge deal," I told her, leaning closer, trying to keep my voice calm. "But it's weird how you always find a way to cheer yourself up while I'm over here feeling like a total weight on your shoulders." That one hit home. I saw a flash of guilt, but she covered it up quick with anger. "You know what? You're impossible sometimes," she snapped. "I'm trying my best, but it's never good enough for you." That was it. Right then, I knew she wasn't going to change. She was way too wrapped up in herself to see how much she was hurting me. It wasn't just me being sensitive or lazy, it was her not caring about anyone but herself. And that's when everything changed for me. It wasn't just about getting some respect anymore. It was about protecting myself, my own self-worth. I'd been planning this for a while. Claire loved her social media, obsessed with it, spending hours making herself look perfect online. So I made a quiet decision. I was going to mess with that perfect image ever so slightly. It wasn't some big revenge thing. It was about showing everyone the truth, the cracks in her flawless facade. One night, I saw she'd put up a picture of us, all smiles in front of the window, gushing about what a great relationship we had. It made my stomach churn, knowing how she really treated me when nobody was around. So I decided to spill the beans a little. I dug through her photos and found one from a few months back, her laughing and smiling with some guy I didn't know. I wasn't trying to jump to conclusions, but I figured I could at least plant a seed of doubt. I dropped a comment under the photo, real simple. "Looks like you're having fun with this guy, too. Not sure what's up, but I thought you might want to be upfront about it." As soon as I hit send, this wave of satisfaction washed over me. I wasn't accusing her outright, but it was definitely going to cause some trouble. And I knew Claire would have to deal with it. The thing about Claire was she was obsessed with her online image. It was everything to her. The thought of anyone messing with the perfect life she'd built up, that was a huge blow to her ego. I waited. It wasn't long before my phone rang Claire, her voice shaking with barely controlled rage. "What is this?" she screamed. "Why would you post something like that? What's wrong with you?" I stayed calm even though inside I was practically buzzing with the drama. I just said, "Yeah, it's interesting how you left that friend out of the picture, isn't it? Guess some things are better left unsaid, huh?" Her voice was shaky, trying to act all casual, but I could tell she was freaking out. "It's not like that," she said. "He's just a friend. Really, it's nothing. Why are you doing this to me?" "Doing what?" I asked, letting the silence just hang there, heavy and awkward. "I'm just telling you how it is," I replied. "Maybe if you weren't so wrapped up in your perfect little world, you'd get why I feel like I don't even matter in this relationship." That was it. That was the moment everything shifted. She spent the rest of the night trying to fix things, backpedaling like crazy, but I was done listening to her justifications. I'd reached my limit. The next step was critical. This wasn't about little victories. It was about making sure she couldn't just bounce back from this. I needed to get out, to leave the whole mess on her shoulders. And that's what I began to plan, but I wasn't going to tell her right away. Nope. I was going to wait until she wasn't expecting it. Things between Claire and me had gotten unbearable. The stuff I'd pulled, the little chips I'd taken out of her perfect facade, they'd definitely shaken her. But it wasn't enough. I wanted her to really get it, to understand the impact of what she'd done. I wasn't just leaving to get away from her toxic behavior. I was leaving to make a point, to take back my self-respect. I kept my distance for a few more days, letting the tension simmer. Claire tried to talk to me, but I kept her at arm's length, giving her nothing but short, cold replies. It started with her online posts, this desperate attempt to show everyone a perfect life, you know. But I saw right through it. The cracks were huge. Even our friends started noticing. They were asking why we hadn't hung out lately, why I was MIA. Claire tried to cover her tracks, but her stories were getting ridiculous. Then one night she walked in after a long day, completely wiped out, even more than usual. I could feel another fight coming, like she was trying to glue her perfect life back together with super glue. She just stood there in the kitchen, staring like she wanted to say something but didn't know where to begin. "Why are you doing this?" she finally mumbled, all defeated. I looked at her. I almost felt sorry for her, but I kept a straight face. "Doing what, Claire?" I asked, keeping my voice calm. "You've been treating me like dirt for weeks," she said, "and every time I try to speak up, you twist things around, making me think I'm the crazy one, but I'm not the one making all the decisions here." She took a deep breath, like she was trying to hold herself together. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I was just so frustrated, and okay, I said some stuff I shouldn't have, but I was just trying to push you, to get you back to how you used to be. I didn't realize you felt this way." I let out a little sigh. "The thing is, Claire," I said, "I did try, but you just never noticed. You had no idea how much it stung when you put me down, like I was some kind of baggage you had to drag along. You didn't see how your words made me shrink inside, day after day." I waited a beat, watching her struggle to find the right things to say, but I knew deep down that it was too late for any "I'm sorries." The harm was done, and no amount of feeling bad could fix the emotional wreck I'd become. "I'm leaving," I finally said, the words echoing with finality. Her face just dropped. "You're leaving," she repeated, her voice a mix of shock and fear. "Are you seriously just going to leave just like that, after everything?" I slowly nodded, the weight of the decision hitting me hard but also giving me a sense of peace. "I've already been gone for weeks, Claire. You just didn't see it until now. I've been checking out of this relationship for ages, and I can't keep pretending everything's okay when it's totally not. I deserve better than this, and I'm not sticking around to let you keep treating me like I'm worthless." Claire's face flushed with anger. She tried to argue, but I could see the panic in her eyes. She realized way too late that she'd gone too far. She'd pushed me out of her life with her meanness, her games, and her complete self-centeredness. I grabbed the last of my stuff and walked out the door, leaving Claire standing there in the doorway, her hands shaking. It wasn't a big dramatic scene. There were no big speeches, no yelling. It was just quiet. It was a silence that spoke volumes. After I split, I crashed with a buddy for a few weeks while I sorted things out. It was so weird. The absence of Claire's constant criticism was a huge relief. I was still mending physically, but I also started to heal emotionally. It hit me then how much I needed to get away from her. I heard through the grapevine that she tried to contact me a couple of times, but I ignored her. I wasn't about to give her the satisfaction. I didn't want her fake apologies, and her pity was the last thing I needed. She made her choices, and now she had to live with them. A couple of months later, one of her friends filled me in. Claire had a new boyfriend. Apparently, she was trying to make it look picture perfect, just like she'd done with me. But I knew deep down it wouldn't last. People like Claire who live to control and manipulate don't just change overnight. I didn't feel mad anymore. Honestly, I felt a huge weight lifted. Leaving was the best decision, and finally I could concentrate on myself. I focused on getting better, getting back to work, and putting my life back together, a life she nearly destroyed. It was brutal at first. Dumping someone isn't easy, even when you know it's the right thing to do. But with time, I saw how much better everything was without her poison in my life. Looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. Finally, I took the reins of my own life, and man, did it feel good. It was like a weight had been lifted, a huge breath of fresh air. Poor Claire, though, she was left to clean up her own mess. Things didn't go down the way she'd pictured them at all. And you know what really stung her? Not losing me, but the fact that she couldn't script the story anymore. I haven't got a clue what she's been up to since. I just unfollowed her, stopped looking at her stuff online, stopped caring about what she was doing. All I know is I'm so much better off now. That toxic grip she had on me, completely gone. Honestly, the best revenge, just walking away. Taking back control of your own life, that's the ultimate power, and that's exactly what I did.